Ever wondered how Israel was born amid centuries of conflict? Uncover the powerful story of resilience and determination that led to the creation of Israel. The story of the Jewish people begins in the ancient land of Canaan, later known as Israel. This region, nestled between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River, has been a cradle of civilization for millennia. It is a land that has seen the rise and fall of many empires, but for the Jewish people, it holds a unique and sacred place in their history and faith. This land holds immense religious and historical significance for Jews. It is not just a geographical location, but a symbol of their identity and heritage. The landscapes of Israel, from the rolling hills of Galilee to the arid deserts of the Negev, are imbued with stories and traditions that have been passed down through generations. It is considered the birthplace of their faith and the land promised to their forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These patriarchs are central figures in Jewish tradition, and their lives and journeys are intricately linked to the land of Canaan. The covenant between God and Abraham, which promised this land to his descendants, is a cornerstone of Jewish belief. Here, according to Jewish tradition, a kingdom flourished under the legendary reigns of Kings David and Solomon. King David, known for uniting the tribes of Israel and establishing Jerusalem as the capital, and his son Solomon, famed for his wisdom and the construction of the first temple, are iconic figures in Jewish history. Their reigns are often seen as a golden age of Jewish sovereignty and cultural development. This period witnessed the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem, a central place of worship and a potent symbol of Jewish identity. The temple, built by Solomon, became the spiritual heart of the Jewish people, where they performed sacrifices and celebrated their most important religious festivals. It was a magnificent structure that stood as a testament to their faith and devotion. The destruction of the first temple by the Babylonians in 586 BCE marked a turning point. This catastrophic event not only led to the physical destruction of a sacred site but also to a profound spiritual and cultural crisis. The loss of the temple was a devastating blow to the Jewish people who saw it as the dwelling place of God on earth. This catastrophic event led to the first exile of Jews from their homeland. The Babylonian exile was a period of great suffering and displacement, but it also became a time of reflection and transformation. In exile, the Jewish people had to find new ways to maintain their identity and faith without the central institution of the temple. However, even in exile, the Jewish people clung fiercely to their traditions and beliefs. They developed new forms of worship and community life that did not rely on the temple. Synagogues and study of the Torah became central to Jewish religious practice, helping to preserve their identity and cohesion as a people. They yearned for a return to their ancestral land, a yearning reflected in their prayers and scriptures. This hope for restoration and return to Zion became a central theme in Jewish thought and liturgy, sustaining them through the hardships of exile. This deep-rooted connection to the land of Israel would sustain them through centuries of displacement. The bond between the Jewish people and their land is a recurring motif in their history, one that has inspired countless generations to hold on to their heritage and identity. After decades of exile, the Persians allowed the Jews to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. This return marked the beginning of a new chapter in Jewish history, known as the Second Temple period. It was a time of renewal and rebuilding, both physically and spiritually. This Second Temple era saw the Jewish people rebuilding their lives and re-establishing their society in the land of Israel. The Second Temple, though not as grand as the first, once again became the center of Jewish worship and community life. It was a symbol of resilience and continuity. Religious life flourished, and the Jewish community grew in strength and number. The period saw the development of important religious texts and traditions that continue to shape Judaism to this day. Festivals, rituals, and communal gatherings reinforced their sense of identity and belonging. However, this period of relative peace and prosperity would not last. The land of Israel, situated at the crossroads of powerful empires, was often a battleground for control and influence. The arrival of the Romans brought new challenges and conflicts. The Roman conquest of Judea in 63 BCE ushered in a new era of hardship for the Jewish people. Roman rule was characterized by heavy taxation, political instability, and religious tensions. The Jewish people found themselves under the control of a foreign power that often showed little respect for their traditions and autonomy. Roman rule was often brutal and insensitive to Jewish religious sensitivities. The imposition of Roman laws and customs, along with the presence of Roman soldiers, created a climate of tension and resentment. The Jewish people struggled to maintain their religious practices and cultural identity under these oppressive conditions. This led to several revolts, culminating in the devastating Great Revolt of 66 CE. The Great Revolt was a desperate attempt by the Jewish people to regain their independence and protect their way of life. It was a time of great heroism and sacrifice, but also of immense suffering and loss. The Romans ultimately crushed the revolt, resulting in the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE. The loss of the Second Temple was a catastrophic event that had profound implications for Jewish religious and communal life. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a long and difficult period of exile. This event marked the beginning of a long and painful exile for the Jewish people. The destruction of the Second Temple and the subsequent dispersal of the Jewish population across the Roman Empire and beyond created a diaspora that would last for centuries. Despite the hardships, the Jewish people continued to preserve their faith, culture, and hope for a return to their ancestral homeland. The destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE led to the Jewish diaspora, a monumental event that forever altered the course of Jewish history. This catastrophic event marked the beginning of a long and arduous journey for the Jewish people, as they were forced to leave their ancestral homeland and scatter across various regions of the world. This period, known as the diaspora, spanned nearly 2 millennia, during which Jews established communities in far-flung corners of the globe, from the bustling cities of Europe to the deserts of North Africa and the ancient lands of the Middle East. Jewish communities took root and flourished despite the challenges they faced. Forced from their homeland, they sought refuge in various parts of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Each region presented its own set of difficulties and opportunities, and the Jewish people adapted to their new environments while maintaining their distinct cultural and religious identity. Despite facing prejudice and persecution in many of these lands, the Jews held steadfastly to their faith and cultural identity. They built synagogues, established schools, and celebrated their festivals, ensuring that their traditions were passed down through generations. They established vibrant communities, contributing significantly to the intellectual, economic, and cultural landscapes of their adopted homes. Jewish scholars engaged in theological debates, merchants traded goods across continents, and artisans created beautiful works of art, all while enriching the societies in which they lived. The Jewish experience in the diaspora was tragically marked by recurring waves of anti-Semitism. Throughout history, Jews were often scapegoated for societal problems, leading to periods of intense persecution and violence. From the expulsions from Spain and Portugal in the late 15th century, where entire communities were forced to convert, flee, or face execution, to the pogroms of Eastern Europe in the 19th and 20th centuries, where violent mobs attacked Jewish neighborhoods, destroying homes and lives. Jews were often treated as outsiders, subject to discrimination, violence, and even genocide. These dark periods left deep scars on the collective memory of the Jewish people. These experiences of persecution would profoundly shape Jewish consciousness and fuel the growing desire for a safe and independent homeland. The dream of returning to Zion, the land of their ancestors, became a powerful and unifying force. Despite adversity, Jewish communities across the diaspora displayed remarkable resilience. They continued to gather for religious ceremonies, celebrate their cultural festivals, and support one another through difficult times. They maintained their unique traditions, passing down their heritage from generation to generation. Jewish children learned Hebrew, studied religious texts, and participated in cultural practices that kept their identity alive. Jewish scholars, artists, and thinkers made significant contributions to various fields, enriching the societies in which they lived. Their work in philosophy, science, literature, and the arts left an indelible mark on human civilization. However, the dream of returning to Zion, the land of their ancestors, never faded. This longing was expressed in their prayers, songs, and stories, keeping the hope of return alive through centuries of exile. The concept of Zion, representing both a physical place and a spiritual longing, remained central to Jewish identity. It was a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder of their enduring connection to their ancestral homeland. For centuries, Jews prayed for the restoration of their homeland. This deep-seated yearning was a testament to their unwavering faith and determination. This deep-rooted connection to the land of Israel, nurtured through religious texts and cultural practices, helped preserve a sense of unity and common purpose among Jewish communities worldwide. It was this shared dream that sustained them through the darkest times and inspired future generations to continue the quest for a homeland where they could live in peace and security. By the late 19th century, a confluence of factors led to the emergence of Zionism, a political movement advocating for the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine. This movement was not born in a vacuum. It was a response to centuries of persecution and the longing for a homeland where Jews could live freely and securely. Growing anti-Semitism in Europe, coupled with the rise of nationalist movements worldwide, created a climate conducive to the idea of Jewish self-determination. The pogroms in Eastern Europe and the Dreyfus Affair in France were stark reminders of the persistent and pervasive nature of anti-Semitism. Theodor Herzl, a Jewish journalist deeply affected by the Dreyfus Affair in France, is considered the father of modern Zionism. Herzl's experiences and observations led him to conclude that assimilation was not a viable solution for Jews in Europe. Herzl, in his influential book Der Judenstaat, The Jewish State, argued that the only solution to the Jewish problem was the creation of a Jewish state. He envisioned a place where Jews could exercise their rights and live without fear of persecution. He believed that a Jewish state would provide a safe haven from persecution and allow Jews to determine their own destiny. Herzl's vision was both practical and idealistic, aiming to solve immediate issues while also fulfilling a long-held dream. Herzl's vision resonated with many Jews who yearned for a permanent solution to centuries of displacement and discrimination. The idea of a homeland where they could be free from the cycles of exile and oppression was incredibly appealing. The Zionist movement gained momentum rapidly, attracting Jews from all walks of life. Intellectuals, laborers, and religious leaders alike found common cause in the pursuit of a Jewish state. Zionist organizations sprouted up across Europe, working tirelessly to promote Jewish immigration to Palestine and lay the groundwork for a future Jewish state. These organizations held congresses, published literature, and raised funds to support their cause. These early Zionists, driven by a combination of idealism and pragmatism, faced immense challenges in their quest to establish a Jewish homeland. They had to contend with harsh environmental conditions, limited resources, and political obstacles. Despite facing opposition from the Ottoman Empire, which then ruled Palestine, and skepticism from some quarters within the Jewish community, the Zionist movement steadily gained ground. The movement's leaders were adept at navigating these challenges, using diplomacy and negotiation to further their aims. They purchased land, established agricultural settlements, and revived Hebrew as a spoken language, breathing life into their vision of a Jewish renaissance in their ancient homeland. The revival of Hebrew was particularly symbolic, representing a cultural and spiritual renewal. This pioneering spirit and unwavering determination would prove crucial in the face of future obstacles. The early Zionists laid a foundation that would support the eventual establishment of the State of Israel, turning a centuries-old dream into reality. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on more historical stories that shape our world.